Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining my show. This is Nichel Anderson. I'm your host for my podcast show, Nichel Anderson Short Stories and Beyond. All right, so this wraps up, or getting to that point, to be wrapping up my podcast season 2, 2018 to 2019. Today is the release of my episode 51, entitled When the Dawn Takes Over, the Kingo Rays. So in this particular podcast, just to give a quick background, it's based on my book, which is called Mitsrayim, a Memoir. Now, I did produce that book several years ago, or a decade ago, and I created a theatrical production from that, which was on stage. So it became a stage play, then a short film, and I did that for season 1 of the websodes. And then I started filming another film, which was Dawn of a New Day, which is coming from a little bit of the title here, but it's a different time frame. It was on WB D Boys. From that, I started this podcast. My plan is to return back to stage. That book, Mitsrayim, the title of the theatrical production was Moments of Love in Ancient Egypt. Later on, I just used the first letter of each of the words in that title. So that's where you get MOLIAE, MOLIAE. And right now, it is in the prep phase. And I keep repeating that because I know people have been following me for a while. And I have done different things gearing up to the return on stage, which is going to be called the Prestige Return of MOLIAE Stageplay. So once I have those dates of announcement of those activities surrounding that return, which will be the 3rd time on stage, I will let everyone know, and hopefully you can attend the production. And I am working on ways where people are not able to physically attend, so those details will be rolled out at that time. So thank you so much for joining me today. This is considered to be a premium podcast, so to get the full short stories, when I'm releasing the short stories as a clip it, to support this podcast, you can connect with me on my Patreon page. That link will be in the description box, where you can get the full short story. This particular episode is a clip it, right? So you do get, for the most part, what's going on, what's happening, and then to get more of a reveal of something that I'm not revealing of the short, become a patron member of my podcast. Now, I also have an app for this particular podcast. You can get that on the Apple Store and Google Play. I have been updating the apps, and I'm just still working on those working on those apps. I'm talking about the official website of MOLIAE, and then my own other podcasts too as well, and my official website. So there's 3 other apps that I had rolled out last year, but I had to revamp those. So the only one that I really got out after I revamped it a bit was this particular podcast. Okay, so that is accessible. The other 3 I'm working on, so I had to pull them to the side and want to redo those. And so those are going to be updated soon, probably during this summer when I have more time. Look out for a bonus as well. I will be making an official announcement regarding my podcast as this season comes to an end, which would be May the 27th. Okay, all right, so let's move on along here to some highlights. Okay, highlight for this particular podcast is General Tekun, King Mahlon, King Kohan, Comrade Jetur, and King Kohan is the ruler of Zimbabwe. And that's important, especially if you picked up my book or the history of what led me to have this calling to write about ancient Egypt, or what it was used to call Mitsrayim, or people would say Kemet. At any rate, in the book, I talk about King Kohan. He was only in the initial opening in the sense of the deal that was made by King Kohan. And King Kohan is actually the stepfather, I should say, biologically wise, to Dama. He's the King Dama. He's one of the kings that Princess Amina was set to marry. That was the deal between King Kohan and King Mahlon. And we get that part of their friendship and their alliance together. And so at any rate, he's in this particular episode. Okay, so we're also going to get to the connection of General Tekun with Egypt, his role. Of course, the previous episodes we realized that Tekun is really the father of Jetur. He was the one that was missing, that Comrade Jetur at the time before he became a general. Went to Sanel, Sanel, and Sanel is the brother of Atuo, who Hani from Orion sent Lanko. This is the very episode, I believe that was episode 30, to return back to Tamat and to go to the north of the mountains to connect with Atuo, which is the brother of Sanel that is helping Nontu. So at any rate, that's what we're going to touch on today. And last week, recap for last week, that was episode 50, is where Hani discovers a new path to obtain the Star of Mitsrayim. And basically what that outline was, he found Echo. Okay, I can't really get too much into that. That would be in my director notes for that episode. But at any rate, last week, Hani seemed to have been ordered or instructed from the higher superiors of Orion to come down to Tamat, which was in violation of a galactical type agreement. And some of those reveals that I revealed in the episodes that if you're not a patron member, you don't get to see or hear. In those types of part of my podcast of the short story, the reveal is where I'm also expanding onto the story and introducing more characters. And that's where you get this and that and the pieces together to why Hani came, that part of what led to it. So if you're not a patron member, you don't really get that. You're just seeing some other parts of it when I do release it publicly. It seems to be that that's what happened. At least you can gather, right? For those that's not a patron yet. He finds Echo barely surviving to that informant by the tribal leader there that also was helping the two, but want to help Hani, thinking he could get power and be the main contact on Tamat. So he finds Echo, and you get the impression that they're going to bring him back. So it seemed like it was a very top secret, high risk assignment, but he made sure that he was there to find Echo and to bring him back. Doesn't look like Echo is in good condition, but that's what it's going to be. And it does seem like Hani also came to further assist Lanko to make sure that they capture Nontu for King Mahlon. So that's basically what happened. So I encourage you to check out that episode. It's a very good episode, I think. As we near towards the end, it was also a reveal. Queen Hagar found out about these intruders, and that led to something else where she ordered Helik to hurry up and catch up with Mahlon and give him a message. Someone entered the domain, which put two to two together. If you think about it, they discovered it is someone of high rank from Orion. So it's uncovering more of what's going on, and that is bigger than what they thought or what have you, or what they thought that was removed is still lingering on. And so that's what came out of that. You didn't get everything, but it was part of the reveal. All right, so let's go ahead and move along as we go ahead to wrap this up of my episode 51. Okay, so let's begin. For this week of my episode 2 podcast show, Nichel Anderson, Short Stories and Beyond, for episode 51, entitled When the Dawn Takes Over the Kingo Rays. Opening scene. Just before the dawn of Apsu, entering the reign of the skies above, we see King Mahlon and King Kohan and their armies already subduing the forces of Atuo and his brother Sanel. On the embankment leading to the hideout of Nontu, King Mahlon followed Rulen advice and information that he revealed to where Nontu would be to corner him, as well as the passageway that most likely will lead them to General Tekun, hidden in the whereabouts underneath the enclave as the kidnapped prisoner. King Mahlon had several of his highest military rank of the King Order of Tekun at the upper levels to track down Nontu as well as fight off Nontu forces. In one of the enclave tunnels below, King Mahlon and King Kohan with several of their highest military officers, along with both of their comrade generals, Jetur and Amare and Kantun, walked on down the dimly lit hallway. Immediately, a fight broke out of those guarding an entrance that King Mahlon and King Kohan felt was the path to take them inside further. As General Comrade Jetur quickly subdued the Nontu guards for the two kings to move onward to the door entrance, two of the highest-ranked military officers of Mitsrayim opened the door first to assure no surprises. Just as suspected, there were several inside guards with raised weapons to charge on them. Another fight broke out. King Mahlon handled one of them that stayed in front of an area, not exposing who else was in the room, until the two soldiers blocking the full view fell. Immediately, it was King Mahlon that stood tall with a grin as he saw his longtime and childhood friend, General Tekun, that was over the army of Mitsrayim. Within moments, it was General Comrade Jetur that yelled out, "Father!" He went to his side, and King Mahlon followed as well. "Yes, I see you, my son, and you, Mahlon, my old friend. Always makes a grand entrance." He coughed a bit and laughed as well amongst them. King Kohan walked into the view to see General Tekun and nodded as well. After King Kohan motioned his Zimbabwe herbalist from his palace of Theos, as well as Mitsrayim herbalist of Theos, ordered in leadership under Ezra, entered as well to start administering General Tekun to determine his condition. Many more military officers of both territories continued to section off and subdue the area as captured space as the kings and generals talked with General Tekun. King Mahlon spoke first. "I see you as a strong warrior as ever. I knew we will find you, for your will for life would never accept defeat." General Tekun nodded before he spoke. "Aye. We are from the same cloth of warriors, Mahlon." They laughed a bit. King Kohan nodded. "Yes, indeed, you both are." General Tekun looked at his son and smiled with pride. "I was proud of you for what you did for me and Mahlon on the day of battle. You did well, son, to intercede for what Echo had in plan." General Comrade Jetur nodded. "You taught me well, father. Mitsrayim is of us, so I had to save the king from the arrow of intent to bring our nation down." Tekun nodded as he managed to squeeze his son's hand. Meanwhile, the herbalist went to talk to King Mahlon on the condition of General Tekun, and Mahlon nodded. Over several of moments of prepping Tekun, it was King Mahlon and Kohan just outside the doorway talking with the lieutenants of the armies, now closing in on the two as he left the enclave and others fighting off the other Orions that was named Lanko. As they was brief, they continued to nod it when suddenly 3 more officers came down the hallway towards them. King Mahlon instantly noticed one of them. It was the special convoy of Hillik of his order of rank of Mitsrayim. He handed King Mahlon a message after he bowed before the king. King Mahlon read it and paused for a moment before looking up to King Kohan and the others. There has been a change in the direction of the now. They sent Heni of the Orions to enter our domain of Tamat. Everyone in the small enclosure and was speechless until a few moments of afar. King Kohan replied, "What is your choice of this, and to what it means, for why?" King Mahlon shook his head as thoughts ran back and forth to the reason of breaking the galactical rule and for someone as high up rank of Orion to step forward himself on Tamat. King Mahlon paced back and forth, and then suddenly King Mahlon turned around and looked at them. "I must return back to Mitsrayim before the next dawn for the Astar." Those that heard King Mahlon's words engulfed them of his decision. All stepped back to absorb what will be soon. Meanwhile, in the corners of the dense fields of the trees, bushes, and cliffs, we see Jetur and Sanel and Nontu armies fighting off King Mahlon and King Kohan armies as well. Lanko insurgents.
This concludes this week clip snippet for this episode. If you would like to listen to the full story, please visit my Patreon page. The information will be in the below description. Mostly every week, I will release only the clippet of the short story, and once you become a patron, you will have access to the full short story, what's going on next, and I do plan to release more director clip notes as well as a bonus of releasing a story. Thank you again for joining my podcast this week. Of this podcast, Nichel Anderson, Short Stories and Beyond. So long.